So, namaskaram to all. We will start our session. Chaturmukha samarambham Vagbhadacharya madhyamam Asmadacharya paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ragadirogan Satatanushaktan Asheshakaya Prasrutana Sheshan Ausukyamोहारदिदाञ्जखान यो पूर्ववैद्याय नमोऽस्तु तस्मै. So, in our previous session, we discussed something about that pradibandhagas as far as the manifestation of a vikara is concerned. A nidana is capable of generating a vikara only when there is an abhava of pradibandhaga and the sharira has got an innate capacity to behave in such a way. That is what we call as a vyadhikshamatvam, vyadhiuppadaka pradibandhagatvam. That is it. Vyadhiuppadaka pradibandhagatvam. So only in that absence of that vyadhiuppadaka pradibandhagatvam, a nidana succeeds in generating a vikara or vyadhi. Now, in the chapter called Dosha Bhediyam in Ashtanga Hridayam Sutrasthanam, we will find another type of a division of vikara, which is very important. Every time, whatever points we discuss, I say that this is important because everything is important for all. Practically, everything is important. So there is no casual reading in the Samhitas. Samhitas are followed very seriously all the time. Okay, now come to the point. Dvidha swaparatandratvad vyadhayaha andyaha punardvidhaha purvajaha purvarupakyaha jada paschadu upadravaha. This is what we find in Dosha Bhediyam. Dvidha swaparatandratvad vyadhayaha. Vyadhayaha swaparatandratvad dvidha bhavanti. Vyadhayaha swaparatandratvad means swadandratvad paratandratvad cha. Swaparatandratvad. Vyadhayaha swadandratvad paratandratvad cha dvidha. So, diseases can be of two types based on swatandratvam and paratandratvam. Swatandratvam and paratandratvam. You can find a better explanation for this concept in Ashtanga Sangraham. Of course, what is given in Ashtanga Hridayam is also very beautiful, no doubt, but it is so concise. So we will go through the explanations given in Ashtanga Sangraham first, and then we will see what is explained in Charagam as well, because they are all complementary. And interestingly, when we put all these ideas together, then only we will be getting a correct picture of the entire thing. In Ashtanga Sangraham Yoga Bhediyam Sutram, we will find Techa Rogaha Swapradhana Bhavanti Anya Parivara Va. There are some differences in the terms used. Actually, I think that shows the range of the authors and the range of the Shastra. The same idea explained in different ways. That is really beautiful to read. What is that? Te cha rogaha swapradhanaha bhavanti anya parivaraha va. So these diseases can be sometimes swapradhana. Swapradhana. Swa means that self. Pradhana indicates pradhanyam. We in Samprapti, we will find what is the pradhanyam. Swadandriya paratandriyabhyam vyadhehe pradhanyamadisedu. Swadandriya paratandriyabhyam vyadhehe pradhanyamadisedu. So it is told there in Sarvaroga Nidanam while explaining the Samprapti. We will go through the Sarvaroga Nidanam in detail from Shloka 1 to the last Shloka later. This is something like some homework to read Nidanasthanam. So there we find Swadandriya paratandriyabhyam vyadhehe pradhanyamadisedu. And here we find swapradhana bhavanti anya parivara va. So ultimately these are all related to or spinning around the concept of Samprapti, no doubt about it. Now, what is the further explanation? So we find two words, swapradhanaha, anya parivaraha. Anya parivaraha, something which follows others. Anya parivaraha. Kramad, they are respectively anubandhya, anubandhakhyaha. Kramad, anubandhya, anubandhakhyaha or ananubandha, anubandhakhyaha. So swapradhanam is known as ananubandham. Anya parivaram is known as anubandham. Or first one is known as anubandhyam. Second one is known as anubandham. Now, what is the explanation? That is more important. Tatra adhyaha, that means swapradhanaha. Swapradhana, the diseases which are coming under the category of swapradhana or anubandhya or ananubandha. What is their peculiarities? Swatandraha. They are swatandraha. That is a commonly used word. Swatandram, self-control. Swatandram is self-control. Some way or other, independent. We talk about the swatandriyam of countries. India became swatantra. So swatandram indicates that independence, self-control. So tatra adhyaha, that means ananubandhaha, swatandraha. Then what else? Spashtakrutayaha. Spashtakrutayaha. Akriti, lakshana. Yathaswam samutthanoupashayascha. Yathaswam samutthana upashayaha cha. So, as far as an ananubandha or swatandra vikara is concerned, yathaswam samutthana, it has got, yathaswam means its own. Samutthana, samutthanam hetu. Upashayaha, it has got its own upashaya. It will respond to the standard upashaya. It will respond to the normal standard pre-explained upashaya. That happens. And spashtaghritayaha, It has got another peculiarity. It is, or they are spashta lakshanaha. The presentation will be very spashta, clear. No question of any ambiguity as far as its presentation is concerned. Spashta lakshanaha. So that category is known as ananubandha or swatantra or swapradhana. Then itaretu tad viparidaha. Itaretu, that means anya parivaram or paratandram or anubandham. Three terms. Anya parivaram, paratandram, anubandham. They are tad viparitaha. That means spashta lakshanada, you cannot expect. Then you cannot find an independent hedu for that, and it will not respond, or it is not expected to respond or show the sort of standard upashayam also. It is not expected to show the standard upashayam also. So we should divide or understand a particular clinical presentation based on whether this is a swatantra vyadhi or a paratantra vyadhi, or whether this is a anubandhya vyadhi or anubandha vyadhi, or this is a swapradhana vyadhi or anya parivara vyadhi. I think the baseline terminology that can be used for day-to-day clinical practice could be swatantram and paratantram. That communicates everything regarding this concept, swatantram and paratantram. And that is why in Ashtanga Hridayam we find dvidha swaparatantratvad vyadhayah. He accepts that terminology because the others are all contextual and specific to becoming relevant only when certain criteria are met with. Whereas Swatantra Paratantra terminology is very self-explanatory. Dvidha Swaparatantratvad vyadhayah andyaha punardvidha. That is what we will find next. Now, tadvacha dosha api. So now we are discussing about swatantra paratantra vikaras, vyadhis. Now, one point is added which is very important. What is that? Tadvacha dosha api. So in a given situation, doshas also should be identified in the same manner, whether this is a swatantra dosha or a paratantra dosha, or whether this is a anubandhya dosha or anubandha dosha. Anubandhya dosha or anubandha dosha. What is that? Same criteria. That means when you identify the presence of one dosha in a given situation, say for example, you are finding some vada lakshanas. What is that vada lakshana? Whatever it is. Say the commonest or the most popular or the celebrity lakshana is ruk. Okay, we find ruk in a given clinical situation. Immediately we presume that there is no question of ruk without vayu. So the dosha involved here is vayu. But stop and stop jumping into starting treatments, concluding that this is a vada vyadhi or this is a vadiga vikaram. Before jumping into the procedures of treatments, wait, stop. Why? Just have a second look. What about whether this is a Swatantra Vayu or Paratantra Vayu, or whether this is a Anubandhya Vayu or Anubandha Vayu. So what should we do? Look for the criteria of this Swatantra, Paratantra, Vikaras. What is that? Yatha Swajanmopashayaha Swatantraha Spashta Lakshanaha. Yathasva Janmopashayaha Swatantraha Spashta Lakshanaha. So if this is a Swatantra Vayu, Yathasva Janma Upashaya Lakshanata. It should have Janmam here means Hetu. So if this is Vayu, true there is Ruk, and which is definitely indicative of the presence of Vayu. Take it for granted. But if this is Vatakopam and if we have to consider this as a Swatantra Vatakopam, it should have Vatakopa Nidanas. Janma. It should have Vatakopa Nidanas. Yatha Swajanma. Then it should have Yatha Swa Upashayam. If it is Swatantra Vayu and that Lakshana of Ruk is there, then obviously what should happen? It should give that Ruk Lakshana should give Upashaya with Kevala Vadahara Chikitsa Yatha Swa Upashayam. So make a trial whether this Ruk responds to Vadahara Upacharam, Vada Viparita Upacharam. That is Yathasva Upashayam. Then third one, Spashta Lakshanaha. Third feature is Spashta Lakshanata. So if this is a Swatantra Vada Vikaram, or the cause behind that Ruk Lakshana is Swatantra Vayu, Spashta Lakshanada should be there. So you should look for Spashta Lakshanada of Vayu. It will not be limited to Ruk. It will not be limited to the presence of Ruk, but Vayu will be showing in many other ways which will conclusively suggest the presence of Vayu. So, Yathaswa Janma, Yathaswa Upashaya, then Spashta Lakshanata. Only if these three features are met with, then only you can conclude that this dosha is Swatantra Vayu. Otherwise, Vayu is there, but that is not Swatantra Vayu. Why this Swatantra Paratantra division of Vyadhi as well as dosha is important? Because this is going to be decisive in Bheshaja Vishesha, Chikitsa Vishesha. Otherwise, we will be doing something. We will first try that one, okay, to respond. Thank God. If it is not responding, okay, we have got many other members in our menu. We will try the next one. That way it will go on. That is not a Chikitsa. Chikitsa should have some sort of a specificity. And that specificity is based on the specificity in understanding the Vyadhi. That is why we say that Rogamadau Pariksheta Tadanandaram Aushadham. Many times we decide the Aushadham first. The moment the person enters into the consultation room and making some sort of a very superfluous understanding about the condition, we decide the medicine first. And then all the rest of the exercise is to logically explain why we decided that medicine. This is not the right way of doing chikitsa. Keep an open mind and rogamadau pariksheta tadanandaram aushadham. So in the beginning, we don't have anything in our mind. Open. And we are trying to extract the maximum information from that situation by various means. We will come to it later. By various means. So here, I am coming back to the text. What is that? Tadvacha dosha api. So if in a given case of vikara, this yathasva janma, yathasva upashaya, spashta features are not met with, then do not consider it as a swatantra vikara. Do not consider it as a swatantra vikara. Similarly, when a dosha is taken into consideration, when we do not meet with the criterion of yathasva janma, yathasva upashaya, spashta lakshanada triad, do not infer that this is a swatantra dosha. No, this is not a swatantra dosha. Now there is a question why this thought is important. It is Ruk and there is Vayu. What is important if it is Swatantra Vayu or Paratantra Vayu? It is Vayu and the Lakshana is Ruk. So we have to treat the Vayu, then only the Ruk is going to be under control. So what is the significance of all this wastage of time? Isn't it? That we will find. Tatra, we are continuing with the explanation. Anya parivaraha vyathayaha dvividhaha. Swatantra vikara is only of one type. Anya parivaraha dvividhaha. What is that? Purogaminaha anugaminaha cha. Purogaminaha anugaminaha cha. So the Anya parivara vyadhi, that means paratantra vikaram or anubandham, can be of two types again. So the classification vikara, swatantra, paratantra. Swatantra is alone, paratantra further to purogaminaha, anugaminaha cha. Teshu adyaha purvarupa sapnyaha. Among these purogaminaha, anugaminaha classification, this purogaminaha, they are known as purvarupa sapnyaha. They are known as purvarupa. They have got the name purvarupa. Upadravaha tu itare. Others, that means anugaminaha, they are known as upadravaha. They are known as upadravaha. Then, tan, as far as this purogaminaha, anugaminaha or purvarupa sapnyaha, upadravaha are concerned, pradhana prashame prashamo bhavadi tesham. Pradhana prashame prashamaha bhavadi tesham. Tesham, as far as this apradhana, anubandha, anya parivara vikara, which are divided into purogaminaha, anugaminaha or purvarupa, upadrava, tesham pradhana prashame prashamaha bhavati. Pradhana prashame prashamaha bhavati. This is a general rule, highly generalized rule. What is that general rule? Tesham pradhana prashame prashamaha. Tesham pradhana prashame prashamaha. So when the pradhana vyadhi is coming to the shamavastha or healed, tesham prashamaha, this anubandha vikaras, purogaminaha, anugaminaha, purvarupaha, upadravaha, tesham prashamaha, they also come to the stage of healing, prashamavastha. So when the pradhana vikara is treated and controlled, the upadravas, purvarupas, anugaminaha, purogaminaha, they also will be under control. So when you make such a statement, that also tells us only if the pradhana vikara is treated or taken under control, the others will be under control. Isn't it? So when the pradhana is treated, the others are controlled. Then we twist the sentence, only if the pradhana is controlled, the others are going to be controlled. A general statement. Exceptions are there, or exceptions are important. So pradhana prashame prashamaha bhavadi tesham. Then anupashamyataha va paschadatan upakramed. Anupashamyataha. Anupashamyataha. Negative. So the general statement made is that when the first one, the pradhana vyadhi is controlled, the others, anubandha vikaras also will be controlled. Anupashamyataha, if it is not happening, paschad tan upakramedva. Later, they may be treated. Again, we can twist that sentence to, they may be treated later only if they do not respond by the treatment of the pradhana vikara. They may be treated separately only if they are not getting healed by the control of the pradhana vikara. This is very important. Again, as I mentioned, this is a general statement. There can be exceptions, and we will coming that exception. What is that? Turidam va balavandam upadravam. Sometimes there may be certain situations. What is that situation all about? Certain upadravas which are very strong. Balavandam, balavan. So certain upadravas can be there which are very strong. So as far as such upadravas, balavandam upadravam, tvaridam va. So we change the priority list immediately. We had made one priority based on the standard operative procedure, but when an emergency comes, we start violating the general rule, like we introduce certain medicines on compassionate grounds. There is a standard protocol for introducing one medicine into the clinical protocol. But when certain emergencies are coming, even if that standard protocols are not completed, certain things are immediately introduced, bypassing certain stages. This is a standard method followed. That is why how we found many unproven medicines coming into the prescribing table during the time of COVID-19. And such usages are known as compassionate usage. So similarly, in certain situations, the upadrava is balavan. And the standard rule is that treat the pradhana vikara, then this will be taken under control. If it is not getting under control, even after the pradhana vikara is controlled, then you treat it secondarily or later. But Balavandam Upadravam, if the Vikara is less important and the Upadrava is becoming more conspicuous by the gravity of Lakshanas, then Tviridam, change the priority. Change the priority and you go for the Upadrava first. But when you go for the Upadrava first, there is a conditional state. That is a conditional statement, and the condition goes like this. What is that? Pradhana virodhena. Pradhana avirodhena. The intervention that you are going to prioritize for the Upadrava should not go against the management line of the Pradhana Vikara or the Prathama Vikara. So, Tviridam va Balavandam Upadravam Pradhana Virodhena. Why such a change in priority made? Sahi Pidagarataro Bhavati Vyadhi Parikrishta Dehatvad Prameha Pidagadivad. A beautiful example is also given. Sahi, sa here means that Balavan Upadravaha. That Balavan Upadravaha Vyadhi Parikrishta Dehatvad, as the body is Parikrishtam by the play of Vikara, which was already happening. Some Vikara was playing, and the body has become so ruined, damaged, weakened because of that. And that is how when a Balavan Vikara comes, that is the situation. When a Balavan Upadrava comes. So that Balavan Upadrava may be creating Pidakara Taraha. It is not just Pidakaraha, but Pidakara Taraha. Creating comparatively more suffering to the individual. So, Balavandam Upadravam Tviridam. But Pradhana Virodhena. And example is given Prameha Pidagadivad, as if it is happening in the case of Prameha Pidaga. Sharira is already devastated by the play of Prameha. Then the Prameho Vadrava Pidaga comes. And the patient, the individual is not in a position to suffer, tolerate the problems created by the Prameha Pidaga. And if left untreated and you wait until the control of the Prameha, which may never ever happen, this Upadrava is going to kill the patient. Then you reprioritize. Take Prameha Pidaga into the first consideration as the first member in the list. But while treating it, bringing it to the forefront, all interventions should be Pradhana Virodham. It should not run against the Prameha Samprapti. So, this is going to be very important. And this is the same case with the dosha. Now we are discussing about Vikara, but this is the same with the dosha as well. We will explain it in our next session. We will find what this Purvarupa is, what Upadrava is, what are the possibilities of Upadrava, how to understand Upadrava, how to understand many other things which are happening along with the Pradhana Samprapti other than Upadrava. All these things we will discuss in our next session, because now our half an hour session is over. So we conclude. Thank you very much. Bhishajam sadhu vrittanam bhadram agamashalinam abhyasta karmanam bhadram bhadrabhilashinam. Namaskar.